This information can be clearly and easily found in public records under North Carolina statute ownership of manufactured homes. NC General Statute, Section 105-273. Ethical reporters and news broadcasters are supposed to follow a code of ethics when reporting the news and reporting on all sides of the story before airing a news report. None of these ethical practices were done in my case, in my situations with WSOC Channel 9 and any of the other ones all around the country that decided to air this story. None of the news reporters contacted or reported any public records about Ninti El Bey on my behalf, telling the other side of the story. There's plenty of court documents, register of deed documents, and notices to the state regarding my status, tribal affiliation, and tribal court that is established under the rights of indigenous peoples and autonomy. The UN Charter 1514. Okay, Channel 9 News and WSOC have been sued for this unethical conduct in the past, clearly going down in the Hall of Shame for their unethical practices, especially dealing with Ninti El Bey. Unethical officials involved, such as Sheriff Gary McFadden, are now coming out in the news to apologize for unethical practices in Charlotte, North Carolina. Mecklenberg County rogue unofficial sheriff and deputies falsely ejected me and my child from our home that I had paid for. This is outside of their jurisdiction and their authority. And now they're being exposed for all unethical practices. Here's Sheriff Gary McFadden in his Masonic stance or his Masonic pose, attempting to apologize for unethical practices recently within the last month. And recently, in the last few weeks, fired an employee, a high-ranking employee, for not abiding by unlawful, unethical suggestions or orders. She says the firing was retaliatory. Mecklenburg County Sheriff was asked to cross ethical lines. They wanted her to fudge some type of documentation. There's news articles that can be further looked into regarding that. So I suppose that I have been targeted because of one of the reasons is because of this. And this can be found on North Carolina legislative reports online. This is a constitutional claim and a case that was won that I had written back in 2010. Family of the Moors by, for, and with Ninti El Bey versus the state of North Carolina and all. The city of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County was involved as well. And it was a judge named for their unlawful, unethical practices and their violations against the rights of indigenous peoples and various other constitutional claims. So this case was settled out of court under a constitutional claim. The state of North Carolina was forced to settle by the United States Department of Justice. You see the case, you see the parties, you see the amount, and here's the statute that talks about settlements. There's no case number, and there's no other court documentation about what court it was in or anything like that, because it was settled out of court regarding constitutional claims. The entire case that I brought was for $100 million. The the United States Department of Justice apparently added $1,006,000 to that. The original case was for a plain $100 million. So they picked up the case and sued these clowns for all that money, and they had to settle. And this case is, to my credit, in my name versus the state of North Carolina. This is one of the contentions they have with me. In addition to me walking in my power, walking in who I am as a tribal leader. More about the case can be seen and found online and on my other YouTube channel, Imperial Lectures, as well as other court sessions where I have completely smashed state attorneys, fraternal order attorneys, police attorneys. Commonly, I will put them on the stand. I went through probably 7-8 years of just having fun with them in court. Every time they thought they could challenge me, I stood on my 10 toes and shut them down. I am a tribal leader standing on the international law and the rights of indigenous peoples and the right to autonomy through our own tribal court, which has full faith and credit in every courtroom, in every court in America. We have full faith and credit. There has not ever been any valid legal or lawful charges brought against Empress Ninti El Bey pursuant to due process of the law, which every person must be afforded due process of the law. If you do not know what due process of the law is, you need to go and study it so that you know when your due process of the law is being violated. Unlawful evictions have been politically motivated. Misinformation, unlawful claims, false arrests, and smear campaigns do not classify as law. Soon, the full truth about Empress Ninti El Bey will come out to the world. Stay tuned. Peace and love, Empress Ninti El Bey. Over and out. Standing on for business at all times. Peace.